Hello students, this is Mr. Burns here and I am in my classroom and I'm going to talk today in this flip video recording about the Citizenship Unit 1 vocabulary. And this is just a video to help you if you need extra support. You can watch this video and I'll give you some information about the words to help you come up with some synonyms and some examples and some images. Make sure when you're creating images, you're creating a unique image yourself. Okay? Here we go. We have our, you're going to do the two columns to the right on your handout that you have in front of you. I'm going to give you the word and the definition will be written in already. And what you're going to do is create a remembering word or phrase for that word, maybe a synonym, maybe a mnemonic device, something, simplified definition, something's going to help you remember it. And then the column to the far right, you're going to either draw a visual and color it, or you can do an example or a sentence or something like that. That's going to help you remember this word. We'll do this 1 to 2 times per unit, depending on the length of the unit. All right, so our first word you're going to see, there's 11 words total, is absolutes. And we're using this word in this unit because the First Amendment freedoms we're going to talk about later this unit, they are not absolute. Okay, and that's one of the most important things to remember. You do not have absolute freedom of speech or freedom of religion or freedom to assemble peacefully. Okay, if you're causing violence or riot, if you're saying things that are hurtful to people or are false, you do not have those. Your First Amendment freedoms are not protected in those situations. Now make sure that you are pausing the video as needed. Okay? All right. The second word is assembly, and you had one of these on the first day of school at pep rally. Is an example of an assembly. That's a gathering of people, and one of the First Amendment freedoms is to assemble peacefully to have your voice heard and your opinions known by government officials. So that's assembly. The third word is a citizen, and our unit is called citizenship, so this can be a foundational vocabulary word. Someone who owes allegiance to a government. You have certain rights and duties and responsibilities under this government. You will be protected. You can become a citizen by birth or by choice, and that process we'll talk about later is called naturalization. All right, the fourth word down on the next page is diverse or diverse. And one of the things in our that we teach in this unit, citizenship, is that, immigration, naturalization, this idea of citizenship has led to a much more diverse society in terms of the way people look, but also their belief systems and their cultures and their languages and all these different ideas make America a much more diverse nation. All right, the fifth word down is duties, and this is a requirement under the law. So that means if you don't fulfill a duty, you could suffer legal consequences. One example of civic duty that we'll learn about this unit, jury duty, maybe obeying the laws, serving in the military if you get drafted, attending school. There's a lot of duties that we'll talk about this unit. All right, the sixth word is naturalization. And this is a process where you come to the United States, you become educated in the process, you take an oath of allegiance ultimately to become a citizen. And it's basically saying that I want to be a citizen of this country, the United States. And in some cases, you have to denounce the citizenship of your other nations. We do have dual citizenship agreements with many nations, but there's some that we don't. And you would have to, do away with that citizenship if you want to become a U.S. citizen. The seventh word down is petition. Petition is a formal request to ask a question. A lot of times people have a digital or a paper petition to get things changed, and maybe you did one of these in elementary school. They have something added to the classroom, to the lunchroom, or to the school. A petition is a strong way to get results, and you get a lot of people supporting you by having them sign that petition. All right, the eighth word is the press. When we think of press, we think of media. Okay, we think of newspapers, television, radio, online sources, and one of the most common now and one of the most powerful is social media, of course, as a method to disseminate information through Twitter or through Instagram or through other social media outlets, TikTok, and so on. But when you think of press, you think of the media, you think of newspapers, television, radio, podcasts. The ninth word is responsibilities. So responsibility is something as a citizen you should do, but you're not required to do. These are optional, voluntary. Voting is optional or voluntary. Doing community service, communicating with government officials are some examples that we'll talk about later this unit of responsibilities, things you should do, you don't have to do, no legal consequences for not doing these, although a strong citizen would do these things, right? The 10th word is rights. So freedoms that you can do, they're written in the Constitution. They're written in our Bill of Rights. These are things that are protected for people. This is an example of freedom of assembly and assembling peacefully. Of course, we have the First Amendment freedoms. We also have something called due process freedoms that we'll talk about this unit. And due process, make sure that you have legal backing for things, that you have certain protections that the government can't take advantage of you as a citizen, okay? And then the last word here is voluntary, and that's acting on your own free will. You're not being forced to do something, you get to choose to do it on your own, okay? That's voluntary. This is your civic responsibilities are voluntary, so that could be a good example there. All right, I'm just gonna put this up here as a reminder of what you need to do on this assignment, and it's not really a graded assignment, but this is something that I'm looking at when you are, if you're struggling during the school year, and I'm checking your homework. Are you doing your vocab? Are you reviewing your vocab? Is that something that you're fulfilling? This is more of a responsibility of a student, not as much of a duty. But you do have the right, of course, to ask questions if needed. All right, if you have any questions, please bring them to me during class, and I hope this video was helpful.